Hey guys, it's Squishy. We're going to be doing a Diamond 4 with the Demacia, Ionia, Fiora Z standalone deck. My favorite deck at the moment. And we're going to be going against Ezrael Elnuk Control. And I'm going to have deck lists for both of those at the end. And in-depth look at my deck in a link as well. Going ahead and looking at the mulligans here. We pull a Zed standalone, which versus the control matchup is perfect for us because we want to pressure our opponent as quickly as possible. And the Zed standalone is the highest damage we have for putting that clock on him. Judgment's more against like mid-range threats that try to fill the board, and Shadow Assassin is just card draw at this point, so more protection for Zed, who's going to be our threat this game, is gonna be definitely what we throw back. We pull the Riposte. Combat's okay here to potentially kill the Ezreal, and if he gets it out early. But the Riposte will be perfect for that turn 4 protection from Zed if we decide to spend everything on turn 3. We're actually the attack on turn 4 phase, and you'll see I passed quickly there, and that's because first 2 turns on this deck is pretty standard, just pass to save that mana for the turn 3 Zed, or Fiora or Elusa, whatever we have in this matchup. Bright Steel Protector, our 2-cost minion, is the only consideration for dropping on turns 1 and 2, but that's more so against like Noxus aggro and Fearsome Shadow Isles, just to do some early trades to keep our Nexus HP high in those matchups. But here we're just trying to get that big Zek to rush down the board and take him out. So quick passes from us on this. Now the Avarosian Sentry is a real big brain moment for this deck, I guess. The few that we have. So if we were on the attack phase for next turn, sadly we're not, the Zed standalone option would be our turn 3 attack. If he had the 6 mana for a Thermogenic Blast or the double Get Excited, then that kills our Zed and completely throws the matchup. It's a done and over with. But him playing that Avarosian Sentry, meaning him only having 4 mana for the next turn, means that Zed is out of the clear. Or in the clear, sorry. From all the threats that Piltover would have. So he's going to get his 2 mana chump in real quick. I'm going to play the Zed. Now, I could easily just stand alone since he's going to throw the turn back at me here. But we don't want to do that. We want to get value out of the standalone. Just playing standalone just to have a big Zed isn't enough, especially when you get higher up in the elos. You want to get as much value out of standalone as possible. So in that case, if we want him to throw a Get Excited or throw that Thermo out here, which standalone would put Zed out of kill range. If it was a Fiora, we would want to play perhaps earlier, so he would not put the damage into him, because we want Fiora's HP to be high so that we can get those challenger trades off. But with Zed Quick Attack, it allows us to attack freely, so as long as he's alive, we don't really care about Zed's HP. So we're going to go ahead and pass that, just because he didn't play anything to threaten to kill him. And then here, it's going to take me a few seconds, just because I'm calculating all the potential threats with his mana on Zed, but long story short, I play standalone and threaten the board with 12 damage. Now the options here, he has 7 mana to work with, so he could, with the quick attack, the board minion is no damage threat to us, and it doesn't threaten us if we use barrier for eating a barrier, because all the damage will occur before this minion can do anything. So double Get Excited, we barrier once, Zed's alive. He chump blocks, lets the damage go through, and Thermo Zed, we barrier and go through. So we're pretty in the clear for threats from our opponent at this point. It's just a means of how he's going to go about it and how we're going to play around it. Speeding it up, he decides to chump block. And we're just going to hold that mana because we have no reason to do anything. And we get the 1 out of 2 on the level up for Zed. And then our opponent's going to spend 4 on Chump Wump, which is a lot of information as well. That 3 mana means that there's 0 kill options for Zed, so we don't need this 4 mana to protect him anymore. So we can play that Blade Keeper here and get a little extra stats on our Zed, make him even scarier. And then go right into our opponent's attack phase. So he plays the Elnuk here, which gives me 2 options. I can save the mana for a future Judgment, or I can Bright Steel to save as much HP as possible because he still has high damage on the board and get excited, which I don't have a deny to put my Nexus health at threat. So I'm going to go ahead and Blight Steel Zed, which he's going to follow up with. Another thing too is the protection on the Zed is huge here, because if he was just a straight swing and me block with the Zed, I have to react to his HP being in threat from the Get Excited range. This just makes it so that my Zed is guaranteed protection at this point for this phase. And because my Zed is guaranteed protection from Get Excited, I decide to rally here to increase that clock on our control player. And then, in my opinion, he responds with a misplay, because he swings right into me. Pretty obvious decision here. Block everything, kill potentially 2 Elnuks, and which would free the board further for my rally attack for Zed to swing at this Nexus, which he's in lethal range of now.
I pity you.
And our opponent is going to respond with the Frostbite. Frostbite, keep one of his Elnuks alive so he has 1 more blocker. Get some small damage in. Nothing to be afraid of. And with the 2 mana left, we know that there's 0 threats for Zed. No flash freezes, no Get Exciteds, no thermos. And our opponent's going to block the 1, and then now we get a easy level up on Zed. Perfect. So right back into our attack phase, we're just going to respond with swinging for lethal, which he has the blockers for. So this is my only misplay here for this matchup, which luckily we don't get punished too hard for. Me wasting the 4 mana on Zed's HP here, because right now Zed's HP is so high that the only threats for him are Thermo, which Riposte and Deny protect him from. So the 4 damage that he swings into him still doesn't put him in Get Excited range. And I didn't kill either unit with that Riposte, so saving that mana for Judgment on his turn would have been better. And then I opted to not single combat as well there, because if you're already committed to just keeping your Zed's HP as high as possible, then that was the thought process there. But the riposte into my Shadow with a single combat into the other minion would have probably been a stronger play, but luckily we have the other tools in our hand to deal with what's given. Now, what we're looking at here on the board, he plays the Elnuk package again, filling up the board. He does have lethal, because even if 3 go through, it's 11 damage plus Get Excited. So we have the mana to deny the Get Excited, but we're trying to think proactively, want to win here. And we have the mana for Judgment, which is the clear play here.
I am a true master.
Now, the only threat to us here is me judgmenting this board, which we are. He flash freezing Zed, so we take the 4 damage to Zed. which he has the 4 mana to Thermo. No, he doesn't, because he'd flash freeze it. The only misplay. Blah, 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 blah.
I am a true master.
So we're going to Judgment here. The only way for our opponent to make a threat out of this is to flash freeze Zed here. He would take the 4 damage, which isn't as big because we still have the deny protection for him. But the 8, 11 damage puts us in kill shot of Get Excited as well. So, but we have the deny for that anyways. But those are the only threats to us currently. Our opponent doesn't have a response though, so fancy animation time. Board gets clear, and we kind of have a perfect hand at this point for dealing with this deck. We have the deny for protection of Zed. We have another judgment for board clear, and the rally to follow it up with if he was to have another harsh freeze on his turn, or harsh winds.